James Varela believes in love at first sight, in relationships and real estate.
It was the ugliest one on the block, you know, but I can see the potential in things, so it definitely, it caught my eye.
He's talking about the 1927 duplex his girlfriend Shannon discovered during a run through the Willo Historic District.
I fell in love with it immediately. Floors, just the layout of it, it was perfect.
So he grabbed Shannon's hand and they took the plunge and quickly realized their dream home was far from perfect.
But once we got into it, it was, we had the sewer line scoped and all the cast iron was cracked. You know, I mean, we opened up the walls and, you know, it was all old knob and tube. We had so many surprises. And then the plaster was failing. All the keys had been broken.
The biggest shock, don't want it here, was probably that whole thing that was in the backyard like that. Just the more we got into it, I was like, whoa! And also the surprise of like how bad the electrical was. I mean, we found an extension cord in the house, like in the walls.
James and Shannon had two choices.
Do we do it right, or do we just do enough to get it livable again? Decided to gut the whole thing.
James is in the construction business, so he went straight to the city to obtain building permits. He considers planning and development department, plan reviewers, and inspectors part of his construction team.
To be honest, it's been an asset. It truly has. It's all about putting out a quality product. I know in my mind that it's a quality product, but it also gives the next person that I pass the house on to an assurance that everything was done correctly.
The city's Historic Preservation Office calls the Wright Davis Spec Duplex, named for its first owner, unique for Phoenix because it's a bungalow duplex with two front doors facing different streets. The office provided guidance to ensure the home retained its exterior historic characteristics.
Like our placement of where we put the wall was not where we wanted it, but we're very happy with where it ended. Like it looks better the way she suggested or said that it needed to be, you know, to preserve like the facade of the house.
Because this particular glass one back in the 20s, you know, it had so many imperfections in it, and in the right light you can see those imperfections. So you have to go and look at samples. You know, we went to a local glass manufacturer and looked at different various samples and tried to find the right seated glass to match the window. And then you have to reglaze them and then strip the paint and repaint them, you know. And then you have to fix any decaying wood, you know, whether it be an epoxy or get wood from another source or another part of the home that, you know, like baseboards.
James crafted custom cabinets in the kitchen to match the originals. The floors were a nightmare composite of linoleum over laminate over more linoleum, so he brought in wood from other parts of the duplex to match the kitchen floor to the rest of the house. And Shannon painstakingly restored the original door hardware throughout the house, and we do mean painstakingly.
Yes, I had the first casualty, actually probably the only real casualty of this whole process was getting scraped up by a wire brush.
The home boasts original historical features like exposed brick, wood windows, interior details, and it incorporates green and energy-efficient Energy Star appliances, low VOC paints, and a tankless water heater, and many modern conveniences, including custom lighting and a pot filler near the stove.
I was all about the bottom line, like trying to conserve the money and why do we need to do this. And I mean, in the long run, it really isn't that expensive of, you know, a little detail to add, and it's great. I can't wait to fill my coffee pot.
I've missed most of my time frames. I've missed almost all my time frames because, you know, I like to do things right, and maybe I'm a little too meticulous in certain aspects of things.
And there were a few pleasant discoveries, including a discarded Stag beer can found under the floorboards.
It's kind of funny, and that can tells a story because, you know, it was a carpenter that put his, you know, I don't know how much he was making, but he spent 15 cents on this can, this beverage. And you know, he put it underneath, and that was definitely a jewel to find.
The process has taken a year and a half, which feels like a decade to James and Shannon.
The biggest challenge is probably maintaining a relationship between your significant other and you while you're doing it.
But the tired couple have transformed a rundown house into more than just a home. It is now part of the family.
Well, I love the kitchen. I mean, the kitchen just turned out better than I could have imagined.
Because the house speaks for itself. I mean, and the amount of care and love that we've put into it just to take a piece of history back for another, hopefully, 80 years.